Hey everyone, in this video I'm going to reveal the exact discovery call script and framework that's behind a 66% close rate and has closed over 100K per month worth of deals for one of my coaching clients, and the exact same framework that I use for my business as well. Now, what I'm not going to give you in this video is I'm not going to give you a salesy robotic kind of script. What I'm not going to give you today is a copy paste script. What we are going to cover in this video is the exact structure of the call that you need to take. What do you say in the first few minutes versus what do you cover in the last few? The psychology behind why that works so well, and the exact script that you can follow, and an AI prompt that you can literally use to copy paste and create your own version of this within seconds. Now, before we get into any of this juicy stuff, the most important thing in sales is actually the mindset. So, what are the three main principles that I absolutely live by? Now, principle number one is selling is actually helping. We all have a bit of a seller's guilt sometimes where we feel like when you're selling to someone, we're somewhat extrapolating something from them. But it's about how you frame this. If you genuinely believe that what you have to offer your service is going to help someone, it's going to help deliver the outcomes that you promise, then selling is just delivering that solution to them. So your job on a sales call is not to convince them that they need something. Your job on the sales call is to guide them through the right pathways, through the right thought process so that they come to the conclusion themselves. So by asking the right questions, your job is to help them navigate that. Now, 80% of selling actually happens before the call. You have to share pre-call assets. They work incredibly well. So share testimonials, share case studies, use email sequences to share this information. Now, the thank you page is actually a great place to share more information about your business after someone's booked a call. Share your FAQ based videos, common objections that you get, every piece of information that you think is critical for them to know before they hop on this call. Use thank you page to share more information. Now, who does this work for? It primarily works for coaches and consultants and online service providers. That's what I've seen use this script work best for. But you can use this for any sort of higher ticket selling, anything above that's 2500. It works both across B2B and B2C. But you also have to understand your audience sophistication, right? B2B audience slightly is going to be always going to be more sophisticated versus B2C, where the audience is usually more is under sophisticated. So you also have to adapt the script based on the sophistication level of your audience. Now, I'm going to use an example of a training education program throughout this video, and it's going to work for both one-on-one coaching or group programs. If you have a high ticket group program, then it'll work across as well. Now, but honestly, it works across both levels. But my challenge to you in this video is that I want you to improve your close rate by at least 10%. So whatever your close rate is at the moment, think of that number. So let's say it's at 50%, right? I want you to improve it to 55% within the next 7 days. Use this video as a challenge to improve your close rate. And I'm going to give you the exact same framework that you can literally copy paste and achieve that in minutes. The framework I'm going to talk about today is called Clarity Framework. As the name suggests, CLARITY, clarity. C for connect, lead the call, assess the situation, real pain, increase impact, tailor solution, yes decision. How quickly can you use this framework to deliver your yes decision at the end of the call? Now, the first 5 minutes of any call are probably the most important 5 minutes, because whenever I'm reviewing sales call, I can kind of tell within the first 5 minutes whether this is going to be a sale or this is going to be a fold, because this is the time that you actually build rapport with someone. You would want to avoid going over 5 minutes at this point of time. If someone spent the first 15 minutes of a call discussing political opinion, so we would have maxed that out to maybe 5 minutes at best. Find something in common. People really resonate with you if you find something in common. Once you have spent the first 5 minutes just getting to know them a little bit, understanding their vibe a little bit, then you want to lead them back into the call. What we're going to use to bring them back into the call is what I call ACE. It puts an end to the small talk and brings the conversation back on track. I appreciate that you're taking the time to meet us today, and I've scheduled the next 45 minutes of this call. Does that still work for you? Now, the reason why we want to ask this question is because we want to make sure that we get an early commitment from them, and also because we want to make sure that they stick around till the end of the call, which is when we are going to make an offer. Do you have a partner who needs to be here is also a great question to ask at that point of time, because we don't want a situation where at the end of the call someone gives you an objection that they needed to speak to their partner. So you want to get that out of the way as well, right? The goal of this call, today's call, is to see if we can help you achieve whatever goal that you help them achieve, and if we are good to work together. Now, what this is doing is that it's telling them that the expectation from them is to make a decision at the end of the call, and this decision goes both ways. It's a mutual decision where we will decide if we think that they are a good fit to work with us as well. Now, from here, you want to assess their current situation. You want to understand where they are right now, because you want to be able to then tailor your solution to their problems and around around their needs. Now, if you're doing pre-qualification questions right, those forms that people fill out before they book a call with you, then you should already have a ton of information on them that you can then use to ask and drive the conversation straight into the core of the problem. Hey, Marcus, saw that in your form that you've been trading for almost 2.5 years, right? And you were still stuck with X, Y, and Z. It takes the conversation straight to the core of the problem. You also want to understand exactly where they are in this situation. You want to understand if they've paid for any sort of mentorship previously and what did they think that was missing, because this could be a common objection. I don't want you to ask more than 2 to 3 situational based questions because, to be honest, we don't want this to sound like an interrogation either. You just want to understand enough so that you can determine what situation they're in at the moment. Once you understand the situation, next you need to establish the pain, because you want to understand how does that actually impact their life? How does that affect them on a day-to-day basis? Now, you want to be able to understand their pain on a deeper level, not just surface level. When you have one of those losing weeks, how does that impact their life? Does that mean that they're unable to pay their mortgage or make some sort of a payment? You want to really establish that how does not having something impact their life on a day-to-day basis, and really dwell on that. Now, you also want to understand exactly what has made them take action now versus many months that they might have been stuck with that problem. And you want to lean into that urgency. Maybe they've quit their jobs and that has created some sort of an urgency, and that's an important piece of information for you to know. Summarize and label the conversation. Okay, Marcus, so if I've understood you correctly, then you've been struggling with this for almost 1.5 years and you've tried X, Y, and Z. And it's affecting your confidence and it's affecting your income at home and your relationship with your wife. Is that correct? And you want them to say yes, because once they say yes, then now you've earned the right to go a bit deeper into the conversation. This is what separates an A-grade closer from everybody else, because they understand how to get a lead to understand the full weight of their inaction. If we fast forward 6 months and nothing has changed, how does that impact their life? Does that mean that they have quit their job and they'll be unable to pay their mortgage, right? You want to understand that if they're in the same spot in a couple of years' time or a couple of months' time, what does that impact them? How does that impact them mentally and in real life as well? And lean into that a little bit more, because you want to create that sense of urgency. Now you should be almost halfway through the call. Now you spend half the call understanding who they are and what situation are they in at the moment. And you're going to spend the next half of the call tailoring your solution around their needs and getting them closer to that yes decision. Now, the key here is that you don't pitch your program generically and you personalize and you connect everything back to the conversation you've just had with. Now, based on everything you've shared, here's what I'd recommend to you specifically. First, I would recommend that you understand the trading framework, because that seems to be your biggest issue and the biggest reason why you're making these losses. You want to tailor your pitch around the problems that they've just described to you. Now, what you've done so far is you've understood the current state and you've understood what their desired outcome is, and you've pitched your offer as the bridge in between. Now, you should be able to personalize your offer and your solution to their needs in a way that allows them to visualize what that will look like for them specifically. Once you've done that, now you can ask for a soft yes. Now, based on everything we've discussed, does that sound like something that would actually help you solve X, Y, and Z? And if the answer to that is yes, then you can move on to the next question, which is actually revealing the price of the program. So in order to get you to 10K per month with your day trading, it's going to be a total investment of 3,500 for 2 months, and that's going to include group coaching and explain the features of your program. How would you like to move forward with this today? And then you handle whatever objections that they might have. Now, objection handling is something that I want to cover in a separate video, so I won't go into too much detail around that. But essentially, from this point onwards, you handle objections, you give them any payment options if required, and you end the call. Now, if you thought this video was useful, then make sure that you hit the subscribe button, and I'm going to share a doc, link to the doc in my description. Make sure you download it. That's going to have the entire script and an AI prompt that you can use and create one of these for yourselves within minutes. See you guys in the next video.